In this video, I'm going to work on importing some still images into my Premiere Pro sequence and giving those images a little bit of motion with a technique called keyframing. So I've got a project all set up here. I've got a sequence of video clips, and my goal here is to bring in a couple of additional details to this ending scene just to give it a little bit more motion. So from the File menu, I'm going to go ahead and import two image files that I've already prepped. So I've got this one and this other one. Both of these I've exported from the same Illustrator file that was the original source of my clips that are in the project already. I'm going to make sure to isolate each of the layers that hold each image and to export with the background set to transparency. So both of these are PNG images. The only parts that are opaque are the colored parts, and then everything that's shown white here in the preview will be transparent and show what's underneath it. So let's go ahead and select both of these, go ahead and import. And now I have both of those files down here in my project panel. So I'm going to go ahead and get my current time indicator lined up right with the beginning of that final clip. And then let's go ahead and target the video 2 track and untarget video 1 so that both of these will land where we want them to. And then I'm going to, from the project panel, click and drag the bird's far image and line it right up with my playhead. So I'll zoom out in the program monitor because right now the image I just imported is larger than my sequence. Then with that clip still selected, let's go over to the Effect Controls window and we can start to mess around with the position and scaling and get everything lined up. And I can adjust the position here through Effect Controls. I can also come into the program monitor, double click, and there I can see the bounds of the image itself. It is quite a bit larger. So I'll just get this placed somewhere that looks, more or less good. Zoom back in a little bit. What I'm seeing here actually is a nice little surprise because the image that I exported from my Illustrator file is a different format than the video capture. I get some of those elements extending into the letterbox area. I wasn't really planning for that, but I think it actually looks pretty interesting. So I think I'm going to keep that. Since I have sort of ordered into zones of recession the different bird images in this composition, I've got some that are more in the foreground, some that are in the middle ground, some that are in the background. I want to put this other bird's near image on top of the bird's far image. So I'll just adjust my targeting and let's bring that bird's near image on top. So we're kind of making a sandwich here. And I'll zoom out a little bit again. Let's make sure that I'm on this bird's near image. Double click so we can see. Let's zoom out a little bit more. And what I'm going for here is actually to sort of line up that layer with what's already there. So that's looking pretty good. I'll zoom in a little bit just to make sure. And you can see we've got a little bit of this doubling here. That's actually okay. I kind of like that as a sort of graphic style. It looks like a little bit of a shadow. And since we're sort of the most zoomed in on these bird elements that will be throughout the whole sequence, I think this kind of makes sense. So now that I've got this arrangement, what I'd like to be able to do is to take this middle layer and slide it from left to right. So I'm noticing down here in my timeline that there's a little bit of a disparity in terms of the length of my video layer versus my image layers. So with the selection tool, I just like to grab both of those layers there, click and drag on the ends and line them up just to snap right to the length of that lower clip. Okay, so let's focus again on this middle image, the far birds, and we'll go ahead and start to give this some motion. When we select a clip in the timeline, we can go up into the Effect Controls panel, and that occupies the same space as the source panel. And we can make adjustments to things like the scale and the position, opacity, rotation, things like that. Basic visual design properties. What we can also do, which is really unique and exciting in Premiere Pro, is we can make those properties change over time. And we do that with a process called keyframing. So what I'd like to do here is just line up the playhead to the place where I'd like the change or the motion to start. And I'm going to do that right at the beginning of the clip. And you can see we get this nice shortcut here of adjusting the playhead just on that one clip, and that matches what's happening in the timeline panel. So what I'd like to sort of change or animate here is the position of this layer, this clip. So I'd like to first get my playhead positioned, and then go ahead and click the stopwatch next to the position property. So when I click that stopwatch, that changes the property from a static property to an animatable property. And you can see when I've done that, I get this little diamond-shaped marker here. That's called a keyframe. So that's telling Premiere Pro at this point in the sequence, the position of this clip is 626 by 624. So it's keeping track of that location. And my next step is to give a different position so that we have a starting position and an ending position. So I want to do that right at the end of the clip. And I just want this to move, over to the left. So I'm just going to click and drag. Whoops, that's vertical. I don't want that. So let's undo. So just like that. And notice when I make changes to that position property, I get a second keyframe. So that gives us our starting and our ending position. And Premiere is smart enough to figure out all the intermediate positions in between. So you can see as I scrub the current time indicator back and forth, that clip moves from left to right. And let's play that back in real time. I think that's looking pretty good. So this is a really nice technique for dealing with still images and giving them a little bit of motion. And you could actually build your whole project like this without doing any video capture whatsoever.